Hey, I'm Ray Latif. I'm here with Mike Schneider. We're at BevNET headquarters in Watertown, Mass. And you're watching Taste Radio Now, a live show featured on Instagram and YouTube weekly, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Mike?
Ray.
Yeah?
You're all business.
I'm always all business, and you're, I don't know what you're doing.
We got this brand new studio here.
Yes, loyal viewers of Taste Radio Now might notice
Loyal viewers
that we're in
of
a
several
different
episodes.
that we're in a different studio. Much bigger, better lighting, I think. I don't know, you tell
I think
us at
so.
home.
It feels kind of homey. Could I relax?
All right, so we'll tell you a little bit about Taste Radio Now, which you're watching. If you're just tuning in, Taste Radio Now, a live show featured on Instagram and YouTube. We're talking about highlights and insights from recent episodes of Taste Radio and Taste Radio Insider, sampling a few interesting products here sent to BevNET headquarters, and featuring a few guests from inside and outside the office.
Are you saying we have guests in the office today, Ray?
I am saying we have guests in the office, but I do want to remind our our viewers at home, that if you have any questions, comments, ideas, ridicule, please send them to us. Use the chat feature on YouTube or send us questions using the comment section on Instagram. Getting back to your
Why do you
question.
always assume the ridicule's for me, by the way? I mean,
Getting back to your question about guests, we do have two fantastic people who came into the office and were so lovely.
Now, in
join us here on the show.
terms of football, because you know we like to football banter a little bit. What level of legend are the guests that we have today?
I would say they're like the Green Bay Packers of the NFL.
NFL. We went, I can't believe you went NFL instead of
They're
EPL.
one of the largest independent beverage co-packers in the country. They're from NorCal Beverage Company. Let's go
Arsenal Invincible level.
No
Come on,
further
man. Come
ado.
on.
Mike is going to step off, and we're going to bring on Shannon Deary-Bell, the president and CEO of NorCal Beverage Company, and Pete Grego, who's the director of contract manufacturing for NorCal Beverage Company.
Great.
Shannon,
wonderful.
Pete, thank you so much for coming out to BevNET headquarters here in sunny Watertown, Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's really sunny.
Where are you guys?
Excited to be here.
Where are you guys coming from?
Sacramento, California,
Yeah.
and we're out here on business visiting some of our customers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, for our viewers at home who are not familiar with NorCal, what do you guys do?
So NorCal Beverage is a family-owned business. We've been in business since for 82 years now.
Wow.
I'm third generation, and usually the third generation screws it all up, so start saying a prayer for me, right? So
When did you become third generation?
when did I become third generation?
When did the third generation of the family kick in as the leadership of NorCal?
So I became president in 2010.
Okay, very
so
cool.
Been president for a bit. So
so
far so good.
I joined BevNET in 2011, and it seems like all good things are still happening with NorCal. So you haven't screwed it up yet.
Yeah.
Interesting story, actually. The first folks I met outside of the beverage industry, outside of BevNET in 2011, were you guys from NorCal. We came out to your facility in Anaheim. It's in Anaheim, right?
We have one
Yours-
in Anaheim
yep.
and one in Sacramento.
And I was like, wow, these guys know so much about the beverage industry. I'm screwed. I don't know anything. I got to learn everything from these guys. And you've been such a great resource for so many beverage companies, so thanks for that. Pete, you've been in charge of co-packing for a very long time. What does the co-packing operations at NorCal look like? What do you guys do there?
So one of the things that we do is we work with brands that are ready to scale into the market, and we provide all of the operational services that they need. Obviously, the most common is filling and manufacturing and blending of their ingredients into a ready-to-drink container. And one of the things that we try to offer is value-added services, Ray. Not just making the product, but then also understanding the route to market by offering fulfillment services, repacking, display building on pallets, and all the services that a new brand that's trying to scale in the market needs to be successful.
You work with small brands. You also work with really big brands.
Sure,
Coca-Cola
right.
being one of the biggest companies you work with.
Right.
Shannon, how long has that relationship lasted?
Oh gosh, we started co-packing for Coke in the late 1980s.
Okay, and you make all kinds of things for them.
Yeah, we do a Tetra Pak as aseptic box juices to Powerade, vitamin water, chilled juices,
Honest Tea.
Honest Tea. We do quite a bit. Yeah.
You also do a product called Go Girl Energy. That happens to be
Yes.
your own brand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When did you launch Go Girl?
We launched that in 2006, and it's sort of been a labor of love. You know, we thought, oh gosh, you know what? We're in the beverage business. We know about beverage. We know how to make it.
Energy drinks are hot.
Energy drinks are just coming out. There's not really a female energy drink that's good for you. We thought, hey, this is the right time to launch this. we launched it and really didn't know a whole heck of a lot about marketing. And we knew that we're a great manufacturer, but not really good at marketing. We've had a lot of learnings along the way. I think we've built a really good team now that we're ready to take it to market in a different way. And so I'm pretty excited about relaunching the brand.
Very cool. If you're just tuning in, this is Taste Radio Now, a live video show presented on Instagram and YouTube Live. If you have any questions, comments, ideas for questions, what am I saying? Ideas for questions, comments, ridicule is what I was about to say. Now you can give me plenty of ridicule. Just send them to us via the comment feature on Instagram or the chat feature on YouTube. John Landis, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Do you guys co-pack any alcohol products?
Not yet, but we're looking at that. We're looking at the beer industry very seriously, the wine industry. We're right there close to Napa and some great wineries. So we're looking at filling that.
You're talking about cans, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And we're also looking at the spirits industry. You guys know already that ready-to-drink spirit products are starting to really evolve in the market, and there's a big demand for filling of those type products. So we're looking at that as well, Ray.
Very cool. Now, you work with a lot of big companies, as I mentioned. You also work with some mid-sized companies as well. What is the best approach for a company that wants to co-pack, just in general, not necessarily with you guys, but what should they be coming to the table with? What do they need to know? And what should be their expectations when talking to you folks?
So one of the things we try to do is we try to work with brands and understand the dynamics of what they want to accomplish with their brand. Everybody has a desire about and they're passionate about what they want to do, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. So one of the things we've tried to do is we want to lean in and understand how we can help them be successful, even if they're not at the scale they need to be to come to a company like us now. We try to help shepherd them to people that will get them started, and then as they scale and we're able to help them in a better way, we'll certainly work with them. But a lot of times we spend time looking at what their message is, what is their cause, or what do they have as a unique ingredient. These are really important things when you go to partner with somebody in this business. And obviously you guys see it every day because you're evaluating beverages, that the success rate of new products is very sketchy sometimes because there's so much coming out that you have to have a point of difference. And one of the things we look for is what are the points of difference of these products, either a unique ingredient, a unique cause or story, or maybe the timing of when they're coming out with this product. Those are all things that trigger us to say, okay, we can help you,
Also, we've become a one-stop shop.
Right.
We've really tried to evolve for our customers, especially the larger customers, that we can provide transportation, we can provide warehousing, we provide storage as far as the cold storage, their ingredients. We've worked with suppliers. We've become a very good partner with a lot of the can suppliers, bottle suppliers. We help the delivery system, the logistics side of that. So it's really it's been more of a holistic. Here we are. We're a one-stop shop for you, and it's really helped the customer service getting to the market.
Mm-hmm. If you're just tuning in, this is Taste Radio Now. I'm sitting down with Shannon Deary-Bell, the president and CEO of NorCal Beverage Company, Pete Grego, the director of contract manufacturing for the company. We had a question from the audience, which was, what is the biggest mistake that beverage companies make at launch? And I'm sure you've seen some mistakes, some of the things that have really caused some stumbles along the way.
Yeah, not understanding their suppliers, not understanding their ingredient,
Right.
and how the effects of when you're filling the ingredients in the package, what that's going to do. Really, especially the smaller ones,
Right.
bringing them on. Pete, you can
Yeah.
probably talk more to this too, but it's really the supplier and understanding the suppliers and giving them the raw materials and understanding what that effect is going to be.
One of the things that we try to look at is making sure that, when people have a passion about developing a beverage and they've maybe had some limited experience at doing it themselves, and then they want to commercialize, right? So when we engage with them, one of the first things we ask, Ray, is, okay, have you looked at this in a way where you can make this in a larger quantity and commercialize it. And a lot of times, if they haven't worked with a flavor house or somebody to do the formulation development properly, and then to Shannon's point, when they go to make a batch of 20,000 gallons as an example, and now all of a sudden some of the ingredients don't blend as well, and they wonder, wow, what happened?
And their taste is off.
Yeah,
And,
and so these are, especially like if you're trying to make something that has a unique property to it, I'll give you a good example, was erythritol. When that first came into the market as an
The
ingredient,
natural sweetener.
Yes. When that first came into the market, a lot of people thought, oh, well, we just put it in the tank and mix it up. Well, no, it doesn't quite work like that. That product has to be blended at a high shear rate and at a certain water temperature for it to go into solution. Otherwise, you got a big glob, And these are the learnings that we try to help people through when they try to scale.
Speaking of ingredients, and we only have about a minute left, I want to ask you guys about CBD, probiotics, kombucha, some of these hot ingredients or categories that everyone seems to be talking about. How do they fit into what you guys are doing? Are you seeing a lot of interest in people coming to you saying, hey, we need a co-packer to help us with a new probiotic beverage or a kombucha or a CBD drink? See, maybe CBD, you must get calls all the time about CBD.
we get probably 10 calls a day, right, Pete?
Wow.
It's really an interesting category that we're launching into. It's something that scares me a bit because there's not a lot of information yet about it. If we were to get into something like that, we certainly would segregate NorCal Beverage from a different company, get the science behind it, engage certain, like maybe universities to get involved with us to understand how we go about doing something like this. We would never just launch into something because of liability and it's consuming and certainly we don't want to put anybody at risk.
Outstanding. Oh, John Lannis, we have one question from the audience.
Really quickly, at CJ Smart on Instagram wants to know what red flags come up often when choosing a co-packer.
I think for us, making sure that a co-packer has the bandwidth to do what the brand owner needs, and timing. I think a lot of people, and I know for us especially, we do a lot more to make sure that we're ready to do and have the highest level of success the first time, and not necessarily embrace the idea of doing it quickly and have a low probability of success. Right. So we really see where a lot of people will rush in, say, yeah, I have some ingredients, I'm going to send them to you, and I got some containers, and let's go.
Yeah, and certifications obviously is a big one. If you're going to be looking at a co-packer, you certainly want to look at and ask the questions about what kind of certifications do you have, right. Making sure your QA is right up to the top level. That's very important.
You know what else is important? Getting in touch with these folks. How do you get in touch with NorCal Beverage Company?
We have a website,
Yeah.
and you can call Pete Grego, our Director of Sales and Marketing.
So we have a new website we're going to be launching. It's www.ncbev.com. And obviously, one of the things we do, Ray, is we get out and we get to industry shows, much as BevNet has been a great tool for us to understand the entrepreneurial spirit of the business. I think you guys have done an amazing job over the last 20 years to really put yourself in the space to help entrepreneurs not stumble in trying to develop their products by educating them and giving them an opportunity to engage with people that can help them have high levels of success. And we appreciate your support.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being on Taste Radio Now. True story. John McKenna, who's our director of sales, said, hey, Pete and Shannon are coming in. He said this about 2 o'clock p.m., about 2 hours before we did this.
Thanks.
I was like, hey, they'd be great on Taste Radio Now. John McKenna's like, I'll call them. All of a sudden, Pete's like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Thank you guys so much.
Well,
It's
thanks
been
for having us
awesome.
at your new studio.
Really appreciate it. Thank you
Shannon,
very much.
Thank you so much.
You
Pete,
bet.
Thank you
Ray.
so much. You can just leave your mics here.
Okay.
And Mike Schneider will come back to the table to join me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
That was Shannon and Pete from NorCal Beverage Company, two fantastic people. Mike, you're a pretty fantastic guy yourself. Thanks so much for joining me back on Taste Radio Now. And if you're just joining us, this is Taste Radio Now, a live weekly show on Instagram and YouTube. If you have questions, please send them to us using the comment section on Instagram or the chat feature on YouTube. Mike Shannon, the president and CEO, a really impressive leader, entrepreneur. You know who else is a really impressive leader and entrepreneur is Kara Golden from Hint. She was featured on episode 20 of Taste Radio Insider. Really interesting to hear her story. $100 million business annually, 40% of which comes from their e-commerce business. And she was talking about the elements of a great e-commerce platform. And those things are pretty interesting. It's pretty simple. She laid out a pretty simple process, whether you're a billion-dollar company or you're an upstart company. It's make transactions easy. Make it easy to transact in your website. Don't make it complicated for the consumer. They're there to buy.
If you're a company, a beverage company, a food company who's looking for, to optimize e-commerce, the name of the competency that you want to build up is user experience. You need to start thinking a bit like a tech company. You need to think about, getting someone down the funnel, enticing them to come in and getting them to consider, interested, putting products in a basket, optimizing for checkout, and for getting more products into a basket at checkout time. So Kara's done a phenomenal job. Obviously, 40% of their business is e-commerce, and that's not easy in beverage.
It's not. And so she also highly recommended using your money on e-com well. Spend money on photography. Spend money on ads, some money on ads for Facebook. She talked about Facebook still being king when it comes to online advertising. Really interesting stuff. Check it out, episode 20 of Taste Radio Insider. Also, another great female entrepreneur, that's Nancy Silverton, featured in episode 148 of the flagship Taste Radio podcast, a well-known restaurateur and a winner of the James Beard Award twice, once as the top female chef, or the top chef in America, and once as the top pastry chef in America. Very interesting to hear her talk about making craveability and the importance of making food craveable. You want your customers to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I want that product. I want that dish. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, in a food and beverage business, it's a volume business, so you need to figure out what all those use occasions are, right? So if someone's craving your food, then that means they want it often.
Indeed. She also talked about everything needing to be Instagrammable these days. There was an interesting story in there about making restaurant bathrooms Instagrammable, because that's a thing now. People take selfies in bathrooms.
Look at this Instagram.
Who out there is actually taking a picture of yourself in a restaurant bathroom? I want to know. I'm going to talk you out of this.
So many people doing that. Landis is one of them.
Landis is just like getting his locks ready. He's like,
but Landis puts it on Fishstagram. It's a little different. It's a little different platform. But I talk to brands about making their packages Instagrammable all the time. Companies are like, well, take a look at this package, take a look at this package. What is my can like? I mean, if you have a can and you can make it so that when someone's sipping your can, you can see the logo. That's a thing. You got to make sure that can's consistent.
Can we test that out?
You can test it out.
Let's test it out now. We'll bring on John Craven, the founder and CEO of BevNET, who's going to join us to sample some products and find out if you actually can see the label while you're drinking it. Come on, have a seat there, John. John, thanks for joining us on Taste Radio Now. You're not really joining us as much as you are.
I was going to say, did I have a choice? I don't think so.
Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is Taste Radio Now, a live video show featured on Instagram and YouTube. We're here weekly Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Send us questions, comments, and ridicule. We want them all. Comment section on Instagram, chat feature on YouTube. Speaking of those wonderful products that we get and love here at BevNET headquarters.
Big basket. Here comes the basket.
Here comes the old basket. It's got some Temple. So
yeah. Is it Temple?
Yeah, this is Temple. John Craven, you've known the Temple brand for some time. They've evolved quite a bit since they launched. This is their new sparkling variety. What do you think of their package?
Like you said, it's certainly something that's pretty different than what Temple has, been doing to date. I think this is something that's it's clearly going for the mainstream, right? So I think to that end, it's pretty clean. The orange catches your eye. Mm-hmm. It's basically an energy drink. Tastes pretty good too. So
I don't think I've opened this yet.
But for me, this is a very interesting pivot for them in terms of being a better for you, shot, and
Sure.
now going into this slim can and doing here you go, doing an energy drink.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just speaks to the reality, or not the reality, but probably they're thinking that path didn't lead them to long-term victory, which for sure that was a brand and product line that had a hardcore following. But sometimes I think it's just one of those realities that you have to take a risk that you're going to alienate those early, that small pool to get
Nailing
in the sea
it,
with
I
the
think.
bigger fish. So.
I think you're
John
nailing it
Landis, we got a question from the audience here.
Yeah, we have Kaylee McLaughlin on Instagram wants to know what you guys think. Do you think less is more on the bottles in terms of color and words?
I mean, less is always more when it comes to words on a package, plain and simple. I mean, I think it's one of those things that if you need, a huge pile of text to explain what you're doing, then there's probably a flaw with that, either what you're trying to do or how you're choosing to describe it. I think, Temple with this product, one of the criticisms I would have is that they've kind of made up like a new, name. What is it, like Super Vitality drink or something like that, which, I mean, it's an energy drink. So, if you look at the front of their can, they've got all this other text that basically leads you to, all right, this is an energy drink.
Vitality Super Tonic is
This
how-
is
Right,
one of
so-
the biggest issues in product and marketing. So, a product person knows everything there is to know about a product. They've got all these things that they think are cool from a feature perspective. As a marketer, and product does this too, you've got to make choices about what you're putting on your can or what you're putting on your bottle, your packaging, and you can't put it all out there. How do you make those choices? You have to make the best choices for your audience.
Now, we'll get to the less or more question with another product momentarily, but we did have a question from last week's episode that we didn't get to get to, and it's timely for this. The question is from on Instagram, Green-Eyed Guide. That's Guide, if I can spell correctly. And the
That's
question
how you
was,
spell guide, Ray.
where do you draw the line between energy drinks and caffeinated beverages?
Man, that's a great question. I feel like that's a moving line that, over the years has kind of evolved. I mean, things like, I look at Guayaquil's energy drink, which, mate has obviously, had caffeine, like it just has caffeine. So I think that line has kind of, evolved over time, but that doesn't mean you can just call anything you want an energy drink. I think right now, Temple and some of these brands like a Runa are kind of right on that edge of like what's acceptable as an energy drink. But I do think that's going to continue to evolve.
They've done a few interesting things here that we might tell a new beverage company not to do. Yeah, well, it's a Super Vitality drink. The energy drink is a known space. So if someone looks at this can, and what I really think has happened here is that they've created an all new product, and this is really like a relaunch of their brand. If this is what they're going, what they're doing, or it's a whole new, it's a line extension, or something along those lines. That's just it's remarkable what they're doing here. But a Super Vitality drink it's going to take a lot of education, and a lot more marketing for somebody to know what that is versus saying this is a better for you energy drink.
All right, we've talked a lot about Temple. I actually like to taste this product, but
It's polarizing and amazing. It's great to talk about this.
I do want to mention that if you at home are watching or in your office are watching and you'd love for us to talk about your product, go ahead and send it to us. BevNet, 44 Pleasant Street, Suite 110, Watertown, Mass. 02472. Landis, you got another question?
Well, I do want to
Can I
make
have
a
another sip of
mention that Green-Eyed Guide is here. She literally wrote the book on energy drinks.
Oh,
Danielle,
nice.
yeah, are you a monster or a rock star?
Nice.
So if you want to know more about energy drinks, ask her. But what are your guys' feelings on plastic versus aluminum?
For what?
For beverages,
Just in general?
cans, plastic.
Feelings. Well, I would say it depends on the category. I mean, I think certain products, just fit in certain, or let me rephrase that. I think certain types of products, consumers look at the packaging type in different ways. So, you could look at something like, beer that's had a whole resurgence of, cans being premium. I think there are other categories where, you look at something like bottled water, right? And, I think we posted on Liquid Death this week. Like,
Its brand is called Liquid Death.
yeah, forget about that. But I mean, it's water in a can. There's water in pouches now. But I think at the end of the day, like, people look at a bottle of water, and that seems like the right package still. But I think that's something that, that to me is more of like, almost like an art than a science, of just figuring out, what package is going to be right. So I think it's hard to just say there's one right.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Speaking of packages, someone might look at that can of Blue Bottle that you're seeing here on the brand cam, and you might think, oh, well, that's a ready-to-drink beverage. But it's not.
That's a Maraca.
It's a can of whole bean
Ready to play,
coffee.
RTP.
This is a new product that Blue Bottle just came out with. We saw this at the 2019 Winter Fancy Food Show. I actually talked to their CEO, Brian Meehan, about this can, about a lot of other things going on with Blue Bottle. That's in tomorrow's episode of Taste Radio Insider. Check it out, episode 21. This is not a beverage, though. So Mike, can you open this up?
I sure can.
Okay. There's a top here, and
Are
look at
snakes
that.
going to pop out or something?
Yes. All right. No, it's a pressure. The contents are under pressure. That doesn't mean it's going to blow up on you.
No, please don't.
But you're going to get a great aroma out of this.
Ooh.
Whoa, there you go.
It's like tennis balls. It's pretty nice.
Yes. So as I was talking to Brian Meehan, the CEO of Blue Bottle, about this, he said they spent a lot of money on this technology because they're so concerned about quality. They only sell their whole beans to a handful of stores in California because they're concerned that the flavor, or it wouldn't be as properly taken care of by these retailers. It wouldn't. It would sit on a shelf, or it sit in a warehouse where it might sit there for a month before ending up on the shelf.
Right now?
This package, from what they're saying, is going to help solve that problem, and it does smell pretty amazing. And once you put this cover back on, he said that it can last another 2 weeks.
Yeah, the thing about this package for me though is the quantity.
The less is
what's
more.
in it? Do you think this is a less is more kind of thing?
No,
with
I'm
coffee?
talking about the label itself.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely the label. Less is more. Yeah.
I
There's
can smell it from over here.
not a,
Yeah, it smells really,
even
really
through
good.
the vapes.
It smells better than the paint
Nice.
fumes in here.
It does smell better than the paint fumes, for sure. All right. You know what I want to talk? Let's talk about some food for a second. I know we're using everyone's time. Thank you so much for watching here on Taste Radio Now. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Let's talk about some Kuna Pops. From Live Kuna, these new snacking on superfoods. These are made with quinoa and chia. Gentlemen,
These are
would you like
good.
to snack?
Yeah.
This is the
Sure.
That's the chili variety. This one right here is the white cheddar variety, or in French, cheddar blanc.
Guy can't even open a bag of chips. Here we go.
They're puffs. They're puffs.
Puffs. Oh,
Try not to make it explode
Yes.
thanks.
all over the brand new studio and the paint fumes.
Okay, I'll try one. Let's see how it
Get it on the
goes.
What exactly are these?
What's that?
Quinoa?
Yeah, Live Kuna.
Pretty tasty.
Yeah.
It's pronounced quino.
No.
Quinoa, yes.
I feel like that's a really. I'm not a huge fan of quinoa. Sorry, but I like it. I like it in this form as a snack more so than like as part of my dinner.
Let's look at the packaging here for a second. So this is one of those where the brand is small, the product name is huge, and then like Kuna Pops is the product. Live Kuna is the brand here, but it takes a while to figure out. Okay, quinoa and chili what, or quinoa and chia what? Spicy chili. What's a piche? I don't know what that is.
That's the French for.
This is
for
a
a
Canadian
version of the
product.
word.
Got it.
I think it's for the Canadian and American audience.
Yeah, you're right. So this is not this isn't even packaged for our market, Ray. But
We'll
that
see.
said, it's
We'll chalk that up to the paint fumes.
I would, if I had a suggestion here, it would be that they make it evident that it's puffs more quickly.
Kuna
Pops.
Pops.
Pops is
I see where you're going
a
with
puff,
that.
but-
Yeah. Now we did have a visit to the office yesterday from space. This is cosmic ice cream. This is
Put
freeze
this
dried
one out
ice
there.
cream.
I want to try the chocolate one.
Which one?
Is that a
You haven't
chocolate?
tried the
This one?
Mexican
Yeah,
chocolate one?
okay.
Try the
All right, here,
chocolate.
All right, folks. We'll put this
This
right
one
in front. What you're looking at is a bar of freeze-dried ice cream. The brand is called Cosmic, and Robert, the founder, came to the office this week, dropped this on us, and everyone in the office was pretty pleased that he did. Really interesting stuff. Pretty tasty. Yeah, there it is. Can you show what it looks like? There it is.
This is ice cream.
There's the the freeze-dried ice cream.
This is ice cream.
There's no need to put this in your freezer, right, Landis?
Yeah, someone in our office mistakenly put this in the freezer.
No, what Robert, he developed these for backpacking, for camping, for things like that to take with you. One person in our office was like, "I'll just eat this as a dessert. I don't need this for snacking or anything else like that." John Craven, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the organic double chocolate chip?
It's good.
Do you need something to wash that down with?
No, I need more of that.
Oh, okay. Here you
Yeah.
go.
Save
Well
it for
done.
later.
Well
I mean,
done.
we talked to the founder about the product, the roadmap. It's a pretty clean package. This is one where he hasn't put a lot on the label yet because he doesn't know what choices to make. So he's just kind of put this nice clean label out there, and it's kind of one of those things where, you know, it's a passion play, sort of new to the market, and seems to be doing the things right, you know, with
like
good
it.
instincts. Good,
Yeah.
good entrepreneur.
I mean, look, the
instincts.
biggest challenge for this will be getting you to think about astronaut ice cream when you're not like in a museum as a little kid, right?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's pretty damn tasty.
It really is. All right. Let's pull
Ray,
these
you
out.
got any ready-to-drink cocktails in there?
I don't have any ready-to-drink cocktails, but I do have a ready-to-drink kombucha.
So Dean Williams on Instagram wants to know what your views on high-proof RTD cocktails in a can are.
Is that a thing yet? And I guess define high proof. Like, I haven't seen a canned Manhattan yet.
Right? Canned Negroni.
I mean, I think the danger.
I mean, I guess like that rock and rye thing is probably the highest proof thing I can
Yeah.
think of, and that's pretty tasty. So
Well, I think the dangerous thing with high-proof canned cocktails is that people are going to think that they're lower ABV than they are. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I feel like the gin and tonics that we had yesterday during our recording for Taste Radio
Sure.
Now Insider, I mean, they were relatively low proof. I want to say they were about
10%.
10%.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was a fair. I think that was a fair amount of alcohol for a canned cocktail.
Shell
product.
Chevron packaging.
I mean, I think it's still a thing in the U.S. that like we're just not really in tune with. Like if you go to London, for example, like you know you can buy all these different like canned cocktails, you know, like Pim's cup sort of things in a can. You know, we don't really have that here yet.
Yeah.
You know, I think probably one of the challenges for them is also just like you know getting retailers on board with it and getting the consumer like you know to go into a liquor store or somewhere that sells liquor, which is obviously very different state by state, and to pick one of those up.
I mean, and the size of cans too. I mean, you're talking like anywhere from 10 to 16 ounces. A cocktail itself is never going to be that much. I mean, you're not going to get that much liquid in a mixed cocktail.
No, but I think some of these, like, you know, we had bottle service, for example, that's bottled, not canned, but, you know, it's basically like, you know, 2 cocktails in a little bottle, you know. I mean, you could drink the whole one, too, if you want, so.
Yeah. All right, so we're just about out of time, but let's talk about another product that people seem to really love in this office. This is a new can of Brew Doctor Kombucha. This is their strawberry basil variety. You know, speaking of the question, aluminum, plastic, whatever, I mean, there was a time when if you would put kombucha into a can, it would have been considered sacrilege, right?
I wouldn't personally say that, but there were definitely some
You
people
were a big
who said
proponent
that.
of this. Get it into the can as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, I think originally there still are brands that are shelf stable and, you know, in cans, which I think had, you know, some people in the industry kind of, you know, I don't know, shaken up or whatever. This product, which is basically, you know, their pure kombucha, requires refrigeration. This strawberry basil flavor actually isn't new. It's just a seasonal product that they have decided to go year round with. So,
I like
but
the
it's good
chill
stuff.
top. The strawberry
Yeah.
top. That's a pretty cool feature on the can.
Indeed.
I like that a lot.
Yes. Well, we have a lot more products in here, but we'll get to those next week. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your time in giving us an opportunity to answer some of the questions that you might have had, to taste some of the products that you've sent us. Thank you so much. On behalf of Mike Schneider and John Craven, John Landis, Nate Brescher, our director, thank you so much. Tune in next week for Taste Radio Now, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you on Thursday.